Hey guys, it's James here from eBassGuitar, and today's bass guitar lesson I want to show you how to go about playing slap bass in a band situation and how to play slap bass in any key on the bass guitar. This is part of our 3-part slap bass guitar for beginners series, so if this sounds good, make sure you check out this lesson all the way to the end. Hey guys, it's James here from eBassGuitar, and in today's bass lesson I want to show you how to go about playing slap bass guitar in a band context, and also how to ensure you can play slap bass guitar in any key on the fingerboard. So before we dig into the lesson content, I want you to know there's a completely free PDF that comes with this lesson. There is a link in the description below where you can grab your copy of the PDF where all of the exercises we cover today will be written out for you. Also, something brand new over at eBassGuitar, we now have a 14-day trial for the Bass Lab Plus membership. There's a link below in the description below. So if you want to take out my private members training program for a test drive and discover a ton of content focused for the beginner to intermediate bass player, make sure you check out that link in the description below. So I've often jokingly heard it said that there are 2 types of slap bass. There's slap bass for the music store and there's slap bass for gigs. That's slightly tongue-in-cheek, but let me elaborate a little what I mean. So you may have walked into a music store before and there's some guy playing deafeningly loudly on the bass and he's slapping incredibly. It may sound a little bit like this. And he's got all the tricks, all the pyrotechnics going on, and it sounds great, and maybe your jaw is hitting the floor at that point. But there's often an issue with all of that kind of stuff. It is tricky to make work in a band scenario, and that is the critical thing. So today I want to show you how to get slap bass to work within a band context and how to lay the foundations for it. There's also one more issue that you may find. All of that soloistic slap bass, as I like to call it, often only works in a limited amount of keys, often the ones which are focused round the open strings, so E minor, A minor, etc. But obviously songs work in all 12 keys. So one of the great things that happens when you learn to play slap bass in all of the keys is that you can start playing effortlessly through chord sequences, and you can hear the great Marcus Miller doing this on the Luther Vandross tune Never Too Much. Let me give you a little example of that. It starts off like this. And that is really beautifully outlining the harmony from kind of B11 down to G major. But also listen to the space within the line. It's not that kind of machine gun thing that I was often talking about before that you hear in the soloistic stuff. So that really is the big difference for me between playing slap bass in the music shop and slap bass that actually works in the song scenario. So in the first lesson of this slap bass for beginners series, what I want to do is lay the foundation, and the most important thing to get good with slap bass is the thumb. This is absolutely everything. My old teacher Paul Westwood used to make me slap melodies because he just saw it as another sound in his arsenal which should have the same level of dexterity as every other technique. So what I want to do is show you how to lay the foundation to that technique, and this is all about playing consistently like this. You should be able to do that for a good minute or 2 without any deviation, because this is what's going to give you a consistent groove. The technique that I use is the one where I play parallel to the string and literally strike the end of the fingerboard. I'm playing every note short with the left hand, so there's quite a little bit of definition in the sound, which will help with the accuracy in the short term. So what I want you to do is grab a drum groove out at around about 85 beats per minute, and I literally want you to play that. 2, 3, 4. The reality of the situation is if you can't do that, all the trickery, all the paraphernalia, all the pyrotechnics are absolutely superfluous. So that's the most important thing to get down. I was doing that on a G, but you can do it on any note of the neck. So the next stage of this exercise is to start slapping scales, because another pitfall that often players fall in is their thumb technique is good on the E and the A, but it doesn't work on the D and the G string, when really you should be able to slap on every single string. So what I'm going to do is take a standard G major scale here and play 4 notes on each one like this. Play the whole of the scale round and round like that. So let me demonstrate with this drum groove here. And what you're looking to do is get a really, really good, strong sound on each string. You'll probably have to slap a little harder on the D and the G string when you're practicing your scales on there, because the strings are getting thinner. So the next thing I want you to practice is to actually try integrating a bass line here. And rock and roll bass lines are great to practice your slap bass on. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this old root 3, 5, 6, 8 bass line like this and play 2 notes on it. So you may have noticed in the scale we played 4 notes. Now we're going to pull this back to 2 notes here. So let me play it to you. So let's try that with a drum groove so you can hear what it sounds like. So that is how to lay the foundation. You can literally play any scale on the bass, but that is the basic principle to it. So now we want to start integrating the pluck. And the best thing to do this with is octaves to begin with. So to pluck, I literally just put my first finger under the string and snap back like that. You might hear it called a snap too. And what we want to be able to do is create this rocking motion between the hands like this, between the thumb and the pluck. Again, just playing rock solid 8th notes, and get that together with the drum groove to begin with. And you want to feel this so it's really consistent and really, really groovy. So spend some time working on that. As I said earlier, the foundation is the thumb and then adding that snap in and really getting it really, really consistent. There's no point in moving on any further to any of the hammer-ons, pull-offs, etc., all the trickery until that is absolutely rock solid and you can play it in time with a drummer. So guys, if you're enjoying this lesson, make sure you jump over to eBassGuitar and check out the Bass Lab Plus. The Bass Lab Plus is my private members training program where you get access to step-by-step, easy to follow lessons just like this. If you want, there is a free 14-day trial in the description below where you can take this for a spin and see if the lessons for you completely free for 14 days. To start wrapping up this lesson now, I want to take you through 2 further exercises to develop the thumb and the pluck and to start playing across the whole of the range of the instrument so you can start playing slap in any key. And that is to take the G major scale and start slapping octaves on it. Like so, and we're going to have to adapt the fingering to make the octaves work so that we go up the A string like this. So to begin with, play 4 notes, so slap, pull, like that on every single note with the drums to really get it grooving. Don't forget, start off super slow, 80 to 85 beats per minute is a great place to start. You might have guessed it, the last exercise is to take the rock and roll bass line that we discussed earlier, and slap it with octaves, but this time we're just going to do pairs of notes, so. Don't forget, if you want to see this written out, there's a completely free PDF that comes with this lesson. There is a link in the description below. So let's try this with the drums. This will probably take a little bit more time because you need to be more accurate on the shifts on with your left hand or your fretting hand. So let's see what this sounds like. Remember, practice it round and round till you're super comfortable. Now, the beautiful thing is you can take any scale, any arpeggio, any kind of rock and roll bass line and try and adapt it so it works with the slap style. There are literally hundreds upon hundreds of ideas that you can get to work in the real world. But to finish this lesson off, I literally want to show you a bass line that I often slap when I'm on a gig. And I often play the tune Dolly Parton's 9 to 5. And I will choose to play that bass line at the beginning, which is pumping on 8th notes like that. I will often play that as a slap line for a little bit of variation. So. And that is literally the simplicity of it, but I'm just using that thumb technique because I just want another sound. It's a variation. I won't do it all the time, but if the mood takes me, I've got the facility there in the thumb to make that happen. So that really is the most important thing. If you take one thing away from this lesson, is get your thumb technique really consistent so you can play consistently for a minute or 2 without any deviation. Start slow and then ramp the tempo up with a drum machine, and that will really lay the foundation of playing slap bass in a band scenario. So guys, that's the end of today's lesson. If you've enjoyed the lesson, make sure you head over to eBassGuitar.com and check out the Bass Lab Plus. There is a link in the description below where you can grab yourself a free 14-day trial. I've been James from eBassGuitar.com, and I'll catch you next time.